Chapter 5. The Salted Sheath. Leaning back against the bar, Nathan Kane chuckled, shook his head, and tossed back a shot of pickle brandy like it was water. "Damn," he sighed, clicking his tongue. "You actually found proof. In here I thought you were crazy all these years." Rowen's mouth tightened into a thin line. "Your lack of faith has not gone unnoticed." Nathan laughed and jabbed him in the ribs with an elbow. Rowen had never managed to stay angry with the man for long. Tall and muscular with cloudy blue eyes, Nathan's good looks made him stand out in any crowd. But it was his easy charm that let him move effortlessly through the world. The man was a damn shape-changer. He could sit with merchants and talk profit margins, share drinks with mercenaries, debate philosophy with priests, and somehow leave all of them convinced they'd made a lifelong friend. Ethelda, however, appeared completely immune to his charms.
"Elbows off the bar!"
The gruff command was followed immediately by a deafening pop as the squat woman behind the counter snapped a damp towel across Nathan's back. The explorer arched like a startled cat and nearly dropped his empty glass.
"Thank you, Ethelda,"
he groaned, speaking through his teeth.
"You know how much I appreciate these little corrections of yours."
The older woman grunted and flipped the towel over one shoulder. The Salted Sheath was unusually quiet that evening. As Rowen had left the Winslow house, the swollen skies had opened up and drowned Kaleridge beneath consecutive waves of chill rain. Such storms were common this time of year, usually driving the town's more sensible residents towards shelter, while keeping the less sensible ones from venturing out at all. And the ones with no sense? They eventually made their way to the Salted Sheath, using the unscheduled downtime to swap stories, plot their next move, and celebrate another day of narrowly skirting a terrible, bloody death. "Hard to plunder haunted ruins when you're shivering so badly you can't hold a sword," thought Rowen. His gaze drifted toward the far wall. Unlike the rest of the tavern, no tables or chairs occupied that section of the room. Instead, a sprawling map had been burned, cut, and scribbled directly into the bare wood. The image stretched from floor to ceiling, with individual sections ranging from virgin wood to extremely detailed location drawings. Some additions were neat and precise. Others looked as though they'd been hacked into the boards with a dagger after too many drinks. The result was a chaotic patchwork depicting 2 decades of exploring and surviving the northern ruins. Tothbarton Manor. Most of the additions surrounded specific labels. Shepherd's Tower, Greenhouse, Funerary Chapel. Don't go this way. That last entry, an unnamed location between the northern cliffs and the barren sea, bore a large X carved through it so deeply that it nearly split the wood. Many came to Kaleridge seeking fame or fortune from the manor grounds. Most left disappointed. A few never left at all. But it was the empty spots on the map that really made Rowen's skin crawl. He tried very hard not to think about the reason why those locations remained blank, despite many years of exploration. Bright sparks filled the air beside him.
"Hey!"
he complained, shielding his face with a mug. The motion sloshed ale across his fingers. "Maybe you don't see any value in eyebrows, Miles, but I'd quite like to keep mine." Miles Wesley, a portly fellow only a few years his junior and his closest friend, leaned back against the bar with both hands extended, an expression of fierce concentration on his face. Thin ribbons of smoke drifted from his soot-stained fingers. Every few seconds, a spark crackled into existence between them. More smoke drooled from the place where his left eyebrow should have been, now only a blackened line of crumbling hair.
"Brighton Valencia says it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill," Miles explained. "Mom doesn't let me practice in the house anymore, so I have to get it in wherever I can."
"How's the cat?" asked Nathan, tapping a few extra drops from his empty mug.
"Sir Gasper is healing up quite well, thank you."
With his tongue poking out the side of his mouth, Miles wiggled his fingers faster, and a tiny pop of red flame exploded from his sleeve.
The stench of burning hair filled the air again as Miles rapidly slapped at the underside of his arm. "Did you see that?" he said, grinning like an idiot. Rowen couldn't help but match it. A hand reached over the bar and gently tapped Miles on the shoulder.
"Think you could ease up on the theatrics a bit?" asked Ethelda. "I promised my boy I'd leave him this tavern someday."
"I'd appreciate it if you didn't burn it down first."
Miles's face immediately reddened.
Sorry, Ethelda."
The woman squeezed his arm.
"Thank you, dear."
Nathan turned around. "Thank you, dear. You nearly knocked a hole through my back with that towel of yours." He slid his cup toward the barkeep. "And all he gets is a
"Thank you, dear."
Ethelda poured him another shot and thumbed to a sign nailed to the wall behind her, prominently displayed between dozens of jars of various meats and vegetables in different stages of pickling. It said, "Elbows off the bar, or else."
"Scoundrels get no special treatment."
Nathan placed a hand over his heart.
A devastating betrayal.
Rowen pointed to a nasty cut on the side of Nathan's thumb.
"I swear that gouge gets bigger every time I see you."
Nathan picked at the spot, wincing.
Yeah, it's probably not going to heal until I finish this model. I keep fiddling with it.
"At the church you've been working on?"
It's a chapel, actually, and yes. I can see it, I just can't seem to get my hands to listen. For a while, the conversation drifted toward the Winslow house. Nathan listened with unusual attentiveness, interrupting only occasionally to ask a question. Miles spent most of the explanation alternating between fascination and visible discomfort. Nathan leaned back against the bar, but quickly straightened when Ethelda reached for her towel. "So, what do you think that noise was?" Rowen sipped from his mug. "No noise?" "That commotion in the bedroom. You said it sounded like something being dragged across the floor." "Oh, that." Rowen went quiet, rubbing a hand on the back of his neck. No loose thread was safe around a man like Nathan. It's like he could smell them, and he couldn't help but wrap them around his finger and pull. Rowan's hand drifted unconsciously to the necklace hidden beneath his tunic. Miles leaned forward in his chair, waving a hand dismissively. "You know how these old buildings are, all swollen wood and hungry rats. The wind blows wrong and the whole thing starts complaining. Last week, I could have sworn a whole family of raccoons had moved into the loft, but it was just rain on some loose shingles." Nathan didn't look convinced. "I guess." "So, what's the next step, Ro?" Miles asked, changing the subject. "I mean, you've confirmed foul play in the case of one of the disappearances deeper into Kale Ridge, but you haven't exactly solved it, nor have you found evidence that it's connected to any of the disappearances in Old Willem Ward. Or, I guess, any of the other disappearances." Rowen sipped his drink and stared off into the distance. Miles had gotten right to the core of it. Had he actually made any progress? Discovering the Winslow's hidden cellar had confirmed that the family hadn't just left to visit a sick relative, as Vale tried to suggest. But beyond that, what really had he learned? He still didn't know who attacked them. He still couldn't link this attack to the rest of the town's many disappearances. In truth, the cellar had left him with more questions than answers. Why would someone come after the Winslows? What had made the collapsed tunnel? And who had predicted its appearance? "I don't actually know where to go from here," he admitted. Miles frowned. "You gonna tell Inspector Vale?" The question immediately soured Rowan's mood. Vale hadn't been helpful at the house. Worse, he'd insinuated that Rowan stay away from the investigation entirely. "I'm thinking about it," Nathan snorted. "No, you're not." "Yeah, I'm really not." A group of armed figures entered the tavern, rainwater dripping from cloaks and packs. One quickly scanned the nearly empty room. He spotted Nathan and raised a hand. Nathan pointed at himself. The man nodded. "Now?" mouthed Nathan. Another nod.
The explorer sighed dramatically and downed his brandy. He raised a finger toward Ethelda. "One more, my love." The barkeep shot him a withering look as she poured. "Isn't it a little wet for adventure?" asked Rowen. "Well, you know what they say. Glory waits for no man." "That's the stupidest thing you've said all week." Nathan accepted the fresh drink and knocked it back in a single swallow. "Nah, you're just not around for all the really stupid shit I say. I'm a regular Bridget Valencia around you." "It's Brighton Valencia," Miles corrected, raising a scorched finger. Nathan shouldered his pack. Then, just as he started toward the door, he cocked his head and stopped. "You said whoever broke into the basement took the family and left through the tunnel?" Rowen nodded. The blood trail led right into the collapse. From what I can tell, whoever went through there backfilled the passage as they went. "And the constables had to break into the house?" "Yeah." "The place was empty?" "Completely." Nathan scratched absently at his jaw. The men waiting for him to join them hadn't moved from the door, but they didn't look like the patient types. "What?" asked Rowen. Nathan blinked. "Huh?" "You've got that look." "What look?" "The one that merely gets you killed." Nathan grinned. Fair." He glanced toward the rain-streaked windows. "Dunno. Something about that little girl's room is tickling my brain." Rowen waited. Nathan shrugged. "Probably nothing." Then he clapped Rowen on the shoulder. "Be good, buddy. Glad you aren't crazy." Rowen simply rolled his eyes and turned back to his drink. "Bye, Nathan," said Miles with a wave, but the older man didn't respond. A burst of cold air swept through the room as the tavern door swung open and the group of armed men disappeared out into the night. Miles crossed his arms and scowled. "He never says bye to me." "Really? I think I heard him mumble, no, you didn't." Rowen shook his head. "No, I didn't. Oh, before I forget." He produced a small wooden box from a pouch on his belt and handed it to Miles. "Ah, perfect. No one will even know it was gone." He quickly returned to wiggling his finger, shooting orange sparks in every direction. Ethelda sighed. The tavern slowly settled back into its usual rhythm. Quiet conversation, laughter, rain plinking against the windows. Rowen stared into his drink. "Something about the little girl's room," he mused. His fingers tightened around the mug. For the rest of the evening, he couldn't stop thinking about it.